Thank you so much, Carrie, for your introduction. And now I'd like it to ask Ryan to introduce a little bit more about the Green Hat and what we're going to talk about today. Ryan, with you.
Hello, thank you. I've been having some problems with Zoom today, so forgive me if this drops. But yeah, we are very excited to be doing this here today. We have a whole series of webinars on e-commerce right now that we're doing in partnership with the Chamber, or the Commons on Champa and the Denver Economic and Development Opportunity with Michael Beavis, who Michael is unable to be here today, but we just had a great webinar with him 2 weeks ago on how to create an e-commerce business. And next week, or sorry, in 2 weeks from now, our next one in the series is how to choose your e-commerce platform, such as WordPress or Shopify. And so it'll be really helpful for people interested in learning how to actually get a platform to start selling things online and how to do that. And so this is a whole series of webinars on e-commerce. We're really excited to be doing this. And so in today's webinar, we are very honored to have Fabiana here, the brand director at Green Hat Web Solutions, to teach us how to create branding for your e-commerce store and your e-commerce products. So, okay, Fabiana, take it away.
Thank you, Ryan. Okay, I'm going to start sharing my screen with you, and you guys are going to receive a copy of this presentations as well. All right, well, let's start it. The theme for today is brand identity. And what we're going to talk today is how you can bring the best stories of your brand to your website, to your marketing materials. So the idea here is to help you identify your stories that support your brand. Because when customers and clients decide for a brand, usually they decide based on their emotions first, and then they're going to analyze about the price, about the location, about the product, the service. But we know that we are emotional beings, right? So whenever we make a decision, the first trigger comes from our emotional side and then goes to our analytical, logical side. So the idea here is how we can help both sides of decision, how we can have the best product, the best service, the best support in relation to your e-commerce, your internet, your platform, your tools, but also how we can have that supported by the right keywords, the right content, the right feeling, and the right tone of language, if you will, in relation to your brand. So this is what we're going to discuss here today. A little bit about my background. I come from HR. I am a human resource consultant as well. So I bring my experience in relation to evaluate executives from big corporations here in the world. I'm from Brazil. Originally, I'm from São Paulo. And at this moment, I'm putting together everything that I've learned about how to assess high performance behaviors of leaders into brand, and exactly how to understand how brands, they are a mirror of their leadership. So if you, as a leader of a business, as the owner of a business, if you know very well what kind of emotions, what kind of behaviors you want to bring to your brand, the brand is just a mirror of the culture of your company. So this is the process we're going to look at today, how we can embrace the culture that you guys have in your brand, in your culture, in your organization, and translate that into content for your marketing materials and your internet tools. Let's start with a very simple question. What is a brand? Okay, so a lot of us, we think, when we think about brand, we think about a logo, we think about the name, and we think about colors. But a brand actually is much, much, much bigger and more and deeper than just a logo, a name, and a website, for example. A brand has something that we call a total experience that we have with that logo, with that name. So your total experience with a brand involves literally your whole body, right? Involves how the brand logo looks to your eyes, the sound. When you think about some brand comes with some sound that we don't even imagine. But when you think about Disney, I'm sure you start to listen to that song of the castle, you know, you start to see the fairies in the air, and that is completely unconsciousness. This comes to you in a very unconscious way, and the brand evokes all these feelings and emotions, even when you are not planning to evoke those feelings and emotions in people, you are still going to evoke. So then my question for you is, when you think about your brand, the brand that either you're creating right now or you already have established for a few years, when you think about your brand, and if you don't have a brand, you have a brand for yourself, right? Your personal brand, because each of us, we also have our personal brand. What are the 2 or 3 words that come up to your mind when you think about your brand, right? If I say the name of your brand, do you have the 3 words that instantaneously come to your mind? Because that happens, for example, when you think about Nike, right? If I say just the word Nike, I'm sure automatically you think about performance. You think about, you know, overcome obstacles, be the best, you know. So those are words that whenever you think about a brand, they are associated to. Another example, if I say Tesla, okay, I'm sure automatically like, a few words come to your mind, like, oh, technology, right? Leading edge, innovation, right? Those are the words that Tesla created a way to invoke those feelings in us, even if we are not aware. Okay, so brand is much more than just the logo, the name. It involves this whole experience when you look at a logo. So what are some of the reasons why companies, they spend not only time to think about these emotions and these attachments that they want to create to the brand, but also lots of money to develop a good brand in order to get the right customers, the right clients to their brand. Here I'm going to give you 4 main reasons why companies think about brand identity. So when I say brand identity, it's exactly this list of feelings, emotions, definitions that I want to create for my brand, that I want people recognize me for. So the first reason why people think about investing in branding is because my brand is evolving. And brand evolves all the time. As you could see in my previous PowerPoint or slide, you saw how Google has changed the logo of Google within time, or Airbnb, because they want to show people that their brand is alive and it has a history, and they want to share, you know, the evolution of the brand to us. So the first now they're trying to fight and say, okay, this blue pea is mine, not yours, right? So this is the moment when you think about how am I differentiating? How my brand can be so different from my competitors that I have this unique market share in my consumer's mindset. Okay. Okay, before I continue, I would like to ask you guys, if some of you can just jump, and mute yourself and let me know why for you right now, branding is something important. Why you're thinking about brand, why your interests are in relation to branding. Somebody would like to share what's going on? Okay, we can continue. We can have if you guys have specific questions, please use our chat box. Ryan is here to help me with the chat box because I'm not looking at the chat box right now. But we can continue answer your questions if you have specific questions about your branding business. Okay. The next part about this is going beyond why. Usually when you start your business, it's very common that people ask this question: why do customers need my business? Why do I exist, right, for this market, for this product or this service? But I would like to invite you to ask a question that comes before the why. That's that very, let's say, philosophical question. Who are we? Who am I as a brand? Who am I as this business? Before even I can go to my why question. And one thing about this who question is that it's all about your culture, the culture that you want to install, to create in your business. And culture, I like this analogy with the fish, right? We don't know who discovered water, but we are pretty sure it wasn't a fish, right? The problem with culture is that usually, if I ask you, what is the culture of your business, right? Even if you are a solo proprietorship, that's okay, because you as the brand, you have your own personal culture, your own personal values, that the clients are going to be aligned with your values or not. And when we think about culture, it's sometimes so difficult to give words to culture. We feel culture when you work for a company, for example. You walk on the hallways of the company and you see the colors of the walls, right? You see the type of furniture that they use. You see if people, they are working more stand up or they are working more on the tables, if they are closer together or separate, or you used to see that before this whole crisis, right? Because right now we are in our houses, but even when we are working from our home, we still bring that culture to our the way that we have communications, right? The way that we communicate with our clients, the way we communicate with each other. But the most important point about culture and brand is that we can manage it, we can change it, if we have the right language to describe our brand and our culture. Okay. Now let's talk about methodology here. How can we measure our culture? How can we create a language to explain the type of brand that I wanna create, that I wanna support, that I wanna manage for my products and my service? There is a methodology called the archetypes. And I don't know how many of you are familiar with the term archetypes, but archetypes is very, very old. The first person who created, who started to study very, very deeper archetypes is Carl Jung. And he identified that there are 12 archetypes in any brand and in any person, okay? So, and why in any brand? Because brands are the collective of our individual culture, individual values, right? When you put group of people together, they bring the best of them and the worst of them, and the best with the worst of them creates the culture of a brand and a company. So these are the 12 archetypes, and the good thing about archetypes and the good thing about using archetypes to measure and to give the language to a culture is that it's very intuitive sometimes. For example, if I tell you, look, your culture has a lot of the hero in it. And when you think about hero, right, if I say, look, you have a lot of the hero in the way that you face challenge. The hero actually is an archetype that a lot of companies have, mainly the ones who are so focused on numbers, driving for results, that those cultures that they kill 12 dragons per day, but they still have the stamina and the energy to continue delivery. So the hero is a very strong culture that usually they are all about challenges and accepting challenges. When I say this, some of the companies and the cultures that come to my mind is, for example, if you think about some of the consulting companies, the big ones, McKinsey, Price Waterhouse, they're all about we needed to deliver the best reports to our clients. It needs to be tomorrow. I don't care if you consultant needed to work 24 hours, don't sleep, but I need the report for tomorrow. So only people who have this type of energy and drive to work will survive in those type of cultures and brand. And me as a client, I identify that this is a culture that I can trust 100% because I know they're going to do their best, even if they can't sleep, to give what I ask them for. So my question for you, when you look at those archetypes, just by looking at them and not going deeper, can you already identify your three, and usually we work with the three the most, the three archetypes that when you think about your brand or even yourself, you recognize those archetypes in your stories, the way that you face challenges, the way you face your problems, and how you serve your clients. So keep that in mind, because we're going to do a quick test here to see if your feelings, your self-assessment is aligned with a test that I have here for you. Okay, I'll give like just a few minutes so you can maybe write down if you want your three, archetypes just by looking at those without knowing too much about them yet, and see if your intuition about who you are or who your brand is in relation to archetypes, if it's aligned with the answers that you're going to give to this test. Okay, this is a test that I'd like to invite you to do in order to assess your archetypes. And this is something that we use with our companies, and the way that we use with our companies like this. This is a personal test that you guys are going to answer thinking about yourself, but the same way that you think about yourself, we have a test other that we apply with organizations to identify for a brand what kind of archetypes this brand has that support the culture. So I'm going to give a few minutes here, like just 1 minute, for you to answer the best of, the best answer for you for between from 1 to 6. So the situation is this. Your manager, let's pretend, your manager has asked you to design a personal logo. In order to do so, your first thoughts are, and then you have like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let me read very fast for you. I feel so excited and optimistic that I can come up with a logo that shows some of my virtues and how I have hope and faith in others and in myself. This is a great challenge. I have all the self-confidence that I can create the best logo. It doesn't matter how many hours I have to put towards it, but I will do it. I want to try something very different that I haven't done before. I'm very curious to see what I may come up with. And I know that I can do it myself without the help of others. Who said that the logo needs to be something drawn on paper? That's so old-fashioned. Let's break this rule. I will build a 3D model first and see how it looks like. First, let me start with a mind map to brainstorm some ideas. Second, I will separate the best ones. And third, I will ask for my family and friends to give me some feedback. And finally, let me research what the best marketing theories around how to create a logo are, and let me educate myself on the do's and don'ts of designing a logo. So if you can pick one of this 6, and I'm going to give you the answer of which kind of archetype is behind of each of these answers. I'm going to give you just 1 second here for that.
We have some comments from some participants. Veronica is the explorer. Carrie is the caregiver.
Awesome. Let's see now with the test if you guys, Veronica and Carrie, are going to identify yourselves with those.
Ernesto is the jester and explorer. Yes, usually we kind of try to identify the top 3, actually.
Exactly. You can identify yourself with the top 3. That's correct. Remember that we have all of them. We have the 12 archetypes inside of us. Okay, we can evoke, if you will, you can evoke the stories and the energy of any of those archetypes, but based on our personality type, based on our stories, we have a preference to follow some stories in your life than others. But that doesn't mean that you don't have, if it's needed, to be a caregiver, even if you are a big hero. That's completely okay too. Okay, so now let's move. If somebody needs more time with this, let me know now. Otherwise, I'm going to the next slide, because remember, we have 12 archetypes. So we are identifying 1 out of the 6 now. Let's go to the other 6. So the next 6 ones are, I want to see what others are creating first to have an idea of how my logo might compare to what my colleagues are doing. I don't want to be the only one doing something completely different. I love the feeling of belonging to a group. As soon as I'm done with my logo, I will check in with my colleagues to see if they may need my help. I know how challenging coming up with a logo is, so they may need my help. My logo needs to have a great balance and beautiful aesthetic. It needs to have small details that touch people in different ways, visually, emotionally. I have so many ideas already that I don't know which one to pick first. But once I choose my favorite one, I know that I will be able to bring it to life. I imagine a logo that makes people wonder who this company is and what they have to offer to others. I know that I can see things that others can't, and my logo will show it. It's time to have some fun with this logo process. Actually, logo reminds me Lego, and I like the idea of playing with some Legos to get my creativity flowing first. So I'll give you a little more time here for your final decisions about your next archetypes. I have a lot of caregivers in this group. I like that. You guys like to help others and take care of others whenever they need it. All right, what about now if I give you the answers, right? Let's see who, oh, somebody says, can we see the list of 12 again? Sure, Cherry, let me go back. Oh, no, let me go back here. I can show you. So that was the first 6, the 6 first ones, right? And this is the other, oops, go back here, the other 6. And my suggestion for you guys is once you guys receive our slides, we're going to share that with you. As I said, you always can go back, and I think I would if I were you, to go back to this list and to rethink, you know, is there the third one, right? Is there a third one, a fourth one that I see myself more? And then you start to imagine, you know, how those archetypes they play in your life, and they are related to your stories. The best way of answering any assessment, a psychological assessment like this, is when you bring your stories to justify why you see yourself through that answer. This is what we call validation process, is when you validate whatever result you have based on your personal stories, right? Because that brings meaning to whatever archetype you're identifying here, okay? So now let's see, I don't know, let's see who you are according to this very fast test. Of course, we have a deeper test for you guys if you want, but this is just to give you an idea. So whoever answered the first one, you'll have the archetype of innocent, second, the hero, third, explorer, revolutionary, fourth, fifth, ruler, and sixth, sage. So now I'd like to open the, you know, unmute yourself or use the chat and let me know what kind of surprise did you get? Did you get a surprise? Who are you, and why you think that if you're a hero, why are you a hero? If you're an explorer, why are you an explorer? Who'd like to share a little bit your answers with us?
So one thing that I can say for us as Green Hat, like an example of how we implemented this for us, is we kind of analyze what are the three owners and founders of Green Hat, how we, or how, what our values are individually, and then how they are collectively. And we asked our employees as well. So, you know, how do you identify Green Hat Web Solutions? And we had some really great discussion about kind of what are the main archetypes for us. And then we could make our marketing material and our public persona kind of consistent with that, so that we can give clear messages and be consistent with who we are and what people understand we are, and how they interpret us and how we interact with them. Just really making this communication really well. So for example, in Green Hat, we actually do have a lot of caregivers as well. And so, for example, I think one example of how we manifest the caregiver at Green Hat is by hosting these webinars for free. It's something that we really enjoy doing. We like to meet new people, and we genuinely like to help people. And so this is like just one particular example in how we kind of implement this within ourselves. And so it's a really helpful exercise to identify, you know, who you are, so that you can be consistent with your team internally and with your customers, and have this really strong consistency. Would anyone like to share?
I'm curious about Carrie, because Carrie said she was the caregiver, although the caregiver is in the other page. But Carrie, from this page or this slide, sorry, who are you?
Yeah, I think I may have jumped the gun. Initially, when I saw the 12 archetypes, I chose caregiver as probably one of my top 3. I don't think my results are showing that at all. I identified with number 1 on this slide, and then on the next slide, it was numbers 9 and 10. So I think I may have just jumped the gun, not reading the definitions of each of the words. So 9 would be lover, 10 creator. So innocent, lover, creator would have been my first instincts and intuition.
That is awesome. And let me ask you this question, if I may. When you see the, for example, innocent, the first one that you said, right? You're number 1, right? The innocent, is that?
Yes.
Okay. Can you please share, how do you bring the innocent archetype, which is being very optimistic? Innocent is very present, let's say that, is very present, the present moment. It always see the glass half full, okay? And the innocent is always about let's have trust that this is going to work. Let's keep our trust, right? That we can do this. You know, it's something that, so it's all about to have this faith. And the faith can be faith in a process, in people, in something bigger, right? But has this trust that supports a lot what this person does. So how you have like in a way an idea how you bring this to the commons?
Yeah, I think having this type of mindset has been advantageous simply because I interface with such a wide array of entrepreneurs and certainly community organizations and stakeholders, and meeting them where they're at and kind of springboarding from each individual scenario or kind of life circumstance tends to probably be one of my strengths.
And I can say yes, because the way that I see you, because we've worked together for a long time now, the way that I see you, how you bring and adding to what you said is like, I feel like a person can come to you with a big problem, with something that they know how to start their business. They don't know, because I came to you like that. I don't know where to go, with whom to talk. And you were so like optimist about like, we have the resources to help you. We have like the people that can share knowledge with you and can help you to navigate, which is very challenging, to start your own company, you know, to go. So the innocent simplifies other people's life. This is another word that comes with the innocent. They like to see things in a simple way and help people to simplify their problems in a way to, I give you the resources so you don't have to deal with that in such a broader way. Does it make sense for you, Carrie?
It does. Yep, absolutely.
Thank you. Let's see, for the next page we have, I'm going to talk about Jester because somebody said it. Who said, let me remember here, who said it was Jester here? Who was it? Ernesto. Ernesto, you said that you have the Jester and the Explorer. Let me tell you a little bit about Jester and Explorer. And oh, sorry. And if you want to comment after me, you're welcome. So the Jester, who brings the Jester to a brand or a company? As a brand, when you think about Jester, let's think about brand as a Jester. A Jester brand is a brand that is fun. It's a brand that, you know, makes people laugh. It's a brand that makes people feel very optimistic, feel very uplifted. So I ask you, what is a Jester brand? When you think about Jester brand, which Jester brand do you have in mind? Who can, you know, shout out a Jester brand? Somebody would like to guess a Jester brand? So it's fun, is very, and sometimes it has very good sense of humor or can be ironic. So this is a Jester in action as a brand. Seriago, is this Ernesto? Which brand is that one? Sorry, I'm not familiar. Somebody, can you please explain what Seriago is? Sorry.
I'm not sure either, actually.
Somebody knows this brand? Oh, cereal brands. I was like, okay. Yes, that's a good one. That's a very good one. Yes, when you think about Kellogg's, right, as a cereal brand, you see like how they want to interact with kids. And that's usually the majority of the brands related to kids will invoke the Jester archetype as a brand. They're going to bring the Jester as a way to communicate with kids, because kids love fun, kids love to play, kids, you know, have all this emotional relationship with brands who like to play back with them. So this is why the brands who talk to kids, they are all based on Jesters. But how you bring Jesters to a more serious brand? Well, you can bring the gesture to your brand when you create, let's say, a landing page that has some game on it, or when you create a landing page that has, you know, some fun on the design that makes people smile, or even like those emojis, GIFs, you know, that you can put in your website or when you send an email. That's a way that you show that your brand is fun to have a relationship with. This is the gesture in action. And let's move to the Explorer, or to give another example. When you think about Explorer as a brand, there are many, many brands that use the Explorer archetype to communicate their message. The first one that comes up to my mind, let me give an example of a definition here. Explorer is all about to go to the next frontier, to go beyond what there is in those mountains. Explorers are curious brands. They want to know, why can't I go to that place? Why can't I achieve that new idea, the new product, the new service? So explorers, they love change, and they're always trying to find new ways of exploring to serve, to deliver, to create products. And explorers, a lot of them, they're about, you know, go in a journey. So those brands that invite people to go into a new journey, they're using the explorer archetype. For example, Patagonia, okay? The Patagonia brand, if you go to their website's completely, first of all, the color. Remember, the color of Patagonia is usually green, because when you think green, you think forest, you think wild, you think nature. So Patagonia wants to bring the explorer inside of us to buy their products. And when you go to their website, and that maybe can be your homework after this, is go to Patagonia website and try to find keywords on the Patagonia website that's related to the explorer archetype. And those keywords are some like this. Go to your next adventure, get your backpack and come with us, gear up, right? So they use all these keywords that invoke in us as clients and consumers, the explorer. Yes, I am an explorer too. Yes, I want to follow this brand, right? So this is a very practical way of a brand that knows very well what archetype they wanted to invoke in us. And they use the color, the fonts, the keywords to bring that archetype, so I feel aligned. Because if I'm not explorer, if the explorer is not my main archetype, probably I'm not going to buy from the brand, right? Because that brand doesn't speak my language. But at the moment that you start to speak the same language of the clients that you want to bring to your product and service, then you start to create that emotional relationship with them that we're talking about, okay? All right, so let's continue here, and I'm going to give an example of the hero. These are some words. When you identify the archetypes, either for yourself or for your brand, then you're going to start to understand that each archetype likes the usage of some words and expressions. For the hero, is all about bring me the challenge. Bring me the challenge, bring me the dragon, I'm going to kill it, right? And if your brand wants to create that sense of I can do whatever I have to do in order to satisfy you as a client, then definitely you are trying to invoke the hero in your clients as well. Another example here of how the companies that they use. I already talked to you about the Patagonia, and I copied and pasted exactly this text here from the Patagonia website that says, we hire people who love to spend as much time as possible in the mountains or the wild. So we seek out dirtbags who feel more at home in a base camp or in the river than they do in the office. So this is a very practical way that they're saying, if you want to work for Patagonia, this is the type of people that we would like you to be in order to feel comfortable in this brand, in this culture. Another example is McKinsey, who has the SAGE, and SAGE is all about research, data, knowledge. I want to know more, right? Based on facts and data. Then they use in their website the name and the taglines to invoke, you know, the powered by knowledge, right? The tagline they use exactly to call the sage that we have in ourselves, in their clients. And this is what you're going to see. If one day you will decide, you know, I want to know who I am. Usually the way that we work with companies to help them, but you can do this with data, without data. In our case, sometimes we use, you know, the data. Okay. Somebody asking a question here? No? Okay. So this is a test that there's a company here in Denver called Culture Talk. Culture Talk developed a specific test to identify archetypes either in a brand or in yourself, right? So this is an example of data that the Culture Talk can collect from a brand and give back to this brand and culture so the company knows where they are in relation to the archetypes. The employees of a brand are the ones who answer these questions. So this is the result of all the employees of a company telling how they see and how they feel when they work inside of this brand or company. So as you can see, this company has the hero, the ruler, and the sage as the three main archetypes of their culture. For me, when I look at that, my interpretation, you know, let's say that I don't know who this company is, but definitely I can tell the story of this company. This company is all about results, giving results, presenting results, killing all those dragons, and how they do this with a lot of systems, process, steps, organization. This is the ruler in action, and based on research, based on data, based on facts. So I don't know, maybe this is a consulting company, this is an accounting company, who knows, right? Can be one of those companies, or no, can be a completely different company, but just based on this archetype here, I can tell you kind of how they operate and how they transmit their values to their employees and clients. The next step of this process of identifying your archetypes and your stories is what we call validation. Validation is very important. The validation is when you get that result and you validate that with your stakeholders or with your leadership team and say, what kind of messages we get from our archetypes that you want to reinforce in our website and reinforce internally. And this will start to be your keywords or your key messages that speak the language of your brand. And another way that you can use this is to identify what is missing in my brand. Let's get the example of a company that has a very, very, very high hero, but a very, very low caregiver. What does that mean to me and to people who work there? That means that this company is going to do their best to achieve the results, to deliver results, but sometimes they may neglect people. They may not look so much what the people need, what the clients need. They're so focused on delivering results and deliver quality that they don't look at what the people are asking for. So if that starts to create a problem to your culture, to your brand, then you need to look at that in a very conscious way and bring that to discussion and start to have strategies to solve that problem of what we call the latent archetype. And finally, once you do this process with your company, with your brand, you are going to create your unique archetype profile, which is how these archetypes talk to each other. Who supports who? And do they have the same weight in your brand? Or one archetype speaks louder than the other two? And one archetype speaks more when they talk to clients and the other two more internally, or vice versa. The way that you can apply this, you can apply this to branding, but you can apply to people. You can start to hire people and vendors who speak the same language that your culture and brand do. You can start to apply this to create your communication strategy, or your mission and vision can be based on the archetypes, the stories that you have in your brand. And finally, I'm bringing to you how we put all this discussion together in a study case, so you can see how practical this can be if a company goes through this process of identifying their, archetypes or values that they identify. Let me go to here because it's easier to see. A study case that I want to bring to you is this painting company that is from, they are from San Diego. And they wanted to identify how they serve their clients because they are in the process of doing a redesign of their website. But also they want to rethink their logo because they felt their logo needs, to identify, to speak more their feelings, emotions, everything that we talked about. And we did the process and we came up that, and we validated this with the owners. And they said, yes, we are the lovers, the caregivers, and the heroes as a brand. And why the lovers, the caregivers, and the hero? The lover, because we are all about the beauty of painting. They see the details of when the painting went not well, the other company did, and we need to redo. The hero is all about, we work during the weekends when other painting companies here in San Diego, they don't. We also try to find the resources, and they call us to say, hey, can you please come here because my uncle painted my, my garage and looks terrible and I need somebody to save the day, and you guys know that you guys can save the day. And the caregiver is about how they are so concerned about their clients, and mainly because one of the owners is a lawyer, and she's so concerned about the rights of the clients and the rights of the company that she's always taking care of the best that they can, so the clients feel very supported. And then we did an example exercise together about describing the word wall. These are the keywords that you guys may want to have for your archetypes that you can use in our website. You can use that in your marketing materials. You can mix match, and you can create sentences that use those words, because each of these words that you see has a story behind and can be justified by actions from this company. And this is what we did. We created a few sentences that they're going to use now in their website that mix and match those words. And each word is related to a different archetype. You see the color coded that we created. And now they really can speak the language of their culture, and the brand is going to be so based on who they really are as leaders of the brand, that they feel very comfortable about selling themselves and the brand. Here is an example how we show how the archetypes, they are related to each of the examples that they brought to us during an interview process. We collect some of the examples, and the examples, the true examples of actions that they do day by day. I can see how the archetypes, they are used by the owners. The taglines can be a mix and match. You're going to see, and my invitation for you guys is once you get to this material, you really can read and see how each of this tagline speak a language of either if the hero, the lover, or the caregiver together. And this is the new brand. So they start with this extreme painting. The guy told me, I really like the shark because I am a surfer and I want to keep the shark. And I said, well, the shark has everything related to be a hero, right? Courage, bold, and there's an idea of being fast, right? And then we decided about the colors for the logo, which we're talking about painting. So the colors were, like has this dégradé of colors mixing together. And the colors are bold because it needs to have the hero in that. In the extreme painting, as you can see, the font there reminds the mask tapes that you use when you paint houses, because that is, the main product and service that they have. And they were very, very happy with this new logo. And then we created, the cards for them based on those logos. And the brand guide. The brand guide tells them which colors express the archetypes, which fonts express the archetypes, how to use the logo. And before I go there, so now in this process, how you can apply the archetype methodology. And let me tell you this, there are many other methodologies that you guys can use to identify these feelings and emotions. We use the archetype just because it's a language that is very common to be used. But my main suggestion for you as an owner of a company is to do the self-assessment and start to write down your keywords as a company, as your key characteristics. If you were a persona, right? Your company was a persona. Okay, so I'd like to open. We have well, actually, it's on the time here, but if you guys, whoever can stay a little bit around, I'm here. I still can be here for a little more minutes to answer questions. Otherwise, you're going to receive this presentation. We have a link here that you can, take a picture of this, or we can send this to you later. But whoever would like to ask a question, please do so. I hope you guys enjoyed this presentation. Anybody?
We have some nice comments in the chat. Thank you very much, Fabiana, from Mark, or Mary, sorry, and Carrie, and Connie.
All right. So wonderful. So guys, thank you so much again for joining us today. And if you are interested in doing or redoing this test, let me give you the chat here. There is a website that you guys can go. It's called, as I said, Culture Talk. And on this website, there is a sample of a archetype test that you guys can do it again and see if that test, is related to this other one. But there's a free test there for you guys to do about your archetype. So thank you again, and I hope to see you guys within 2 weeks for our next e-commerce webinar with the Commons. Thank you. Thank you, Carrie, again.